delighted to introduce a special guest on the business segment today, Robert Nutty. Robert began an accounting career some 30 odd years ago, but he soon realised that he wanted to do so much more than just accounting for someone else. Well, since then, he's been part of some very successful business ventures across the Dublin area in the Republic of Ireland, including restaurants and even medical equipment products. Robert joins me today to talk about one of his more recent and rather different ventures, Arrow Tickets International. So keep watching. Hi Robert, thanks for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
So Arrow Tickets, the product concept is something rather unique. Will you tell us more about it?
Everybody's familiar with scratch card lottery tickets, and the card and you can win instantly. And the charity in Ireland is whatever the government decides they're going to allocate the money for it. So it can be very, very unclear. For smaller clubs or anything else, for them to do their own lotteries, there's a lot of work and administration around that, and it's very, very unclear how much money is collected, and a huge amount of effort can be wasted on that, and it's very, very difficult, and it's very, very difficult to maintain. So we decided that we would come up with a scratch card ticket so that the game is self-contained in a box. The box has 1,000 tickets, and the club will earn €270 if they sell all 1,000 tickets. If they take somebody on board, so a pub or a convenience store, and they sell the tickets, then they'll make €200 from the box. The advantage over other fundraising is that it's very, very easy to sell these tickets because they're €1 each, and people will put their hands in their pocket. In the context of individual clubs, they might make €1,500 to €2,000 themselves directly from the number of boxes that they would sell. So it's not a big fundraiser, but they could earn, on average between 5,000 and 10,000 per outlet. But there's no effort involved with that, and it should become a very, very sustainable part of the fundraising and free up a lot of their efforts. So they have a lot of small things that they will do, like jokers or small cloakroom draws at matches. And the difficulty in those is that visitors can't participate or won't participate because they're not there at the prize giving or when the ticket is pulled.
So who came up with the concept then?
In most of the businesses that I've come up with, I copy somebody else.
Oh, okay.
So I was introduced to this concept on a trip to Cleveland, Ohio. And there's very, very strong links between Cleveland and Ireland, because in the 1800s people went to the west coast, but the railways went to Cleveland before they went to the rest of the US. So there was an enclave set up in Cleveland. So there's a very, very strong Irish-American contingent in Cleveland. And Arrow International started this business about 50 years ago. So they have two wings, bingo paper and these tickets. So they're very, very niche businesses. And in that 30 to 40 years, they've perfected the product. So people try to get around the rules or say, well, how can I ensure that I win? So they have solved all those problems, so we don't have to solve them. And then the quality of the product and what they do and the traceability that we have on prizes is very, very strong. So we just take that, and we have to adjust it for the Irish market, because so that's where the work was. There was two parts in adjusting it. One is, what does the design of the tickets look like? So you can't have a very good football helmets or anything. So we went around designing tickets for Irish games that we thought would work. And then the biggest difficulty was the legal framework that it works in. So we're dealing with 1956 legislation, and it didn't envisage lotteries of this type.
Okay.
So we have to work around the rules on that, and so that took us about 18 months in talking to lawyers and going back and forth. The balance of the startup time, so I always work with other people, was I said, I'll start putting the effort in once we have the share capital in place, because I'm not going to start something and can't finish. So then it took us about 9 months to get people interested in funding the plan. So
that's interesting. Were there any regulations that were altered?
Legislation is, there's new legislation coming out.
Okay.
So we're covered by gambling legislation, even though for its fundraising. The National Lottery, there was special legislation put in place for them to get around the rules of the 1956 legislation. So they're exempt from the rules, which is basically a 30,000 prize fund per week. And also that the administration costs cannot exceed 40%. Our administration costs are 20%. So that's what we live off, and everybody lives off that. It gets paid for the work associated with that, which would be low for this type of work. So they're the difficult parts. But they have a new bill that they're going to change the legislation, and the reason the legislation has to change is that we've more casinos coming in place now in Ireland, and how do you govern those casinos? Because now the private members closed, but if you want to open it up to the public, the rules have to change. And then we have an online gambling, so that nobody has thought of. So very, very similar to the UK and Ireland, the legislation is the same.
The other crucial factors that you have to consider other than legislation?
In any business that I'm involved with, I work out to say, how does it physically work? What's the first step? How do you sell? And then how do you deliver that product to the person? So when we decided, we looked at the market and we said there are 4,000 pubs roughly between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and there's 4,000 sports clubs. So we said, how can we contact 8,000 people? If we put a sales force in place, that would cost us too much money. You'd have to invest a huge amount of money. It's very, very difficult to manage a sales force. Are they calling to the places? Are they only telling you that they're calling? That's getting easier now with GPS and monitoring what they're doing, but there's still that risk. And we thought that we would fail doing that. So that means that we had to go to online marketing, and I have no expertise in that area. So the most important thing, if you don't have any expertise, is that you find somebody that has expertise. So we spent about 2 months trying to work, interviewing different marketing agencies and seeing what their ideas were, and then we chose one to work with. Part of the difficulty in that is that in every discipline there is a set of language. So they talk a fundamentally different language than I do. So now we've hired somebody on our side so that we can say, does this make sense in the overall context? Because you have to understand why you're doing something. If you understand why and it goes wrong, then you know how to fix it. Where if you just follow blindly and it goes wrong, you've no context to make or improve that decision. Because things will always go wrong. So to be successful in business, you try to find out early. Can you find out early? If you can find out before the customer finds out, then you can fix it. So that's a good thing. And if you don't, then how can you fix it easily? So that's what I do. And in doing that approach, it helps you do more accurate budgets. So what's your break-even point? How many do you have to sell a week to meet those targets? So they're at your fingertips. So rather than saying, I have to get 200,000 in sales in order to cover these costs, so how many boxes of tickets, how many per week, how many am I going to sell in week 1? You have to get down to that level of detail. And then if you're not meeting the targets, then you have to say, well, why? And you start off, what am I doing wrong? Rather than saying, well, the market's wrong. And people tend to blame something else or some other factor. Where to be successful, I think you have to start off and say, well, I did something wrong here. And then without beating yourself up, it's just being honest, then you have a chance.
Back to the area of marketing then. What are some of the ways that the business is being promoted at the moment? You mentioned online marketing.
Yeah, well, we decided that both the online marketing and purchasing would all be done online, because this way from our office in Sandyford, we could reach anywhere in the country. So in order to do that, then we went, so everybody, most people have a website now. So there's two types of websites. There's one that's just taking a brochure and putting it up and people can see it. And then there's the second one where people can purchase. And it's how dynamic or how you communicate through that. So now we have different social media. So you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, you have all these things that communicate with your customer. So we have to come up with a message that's consistent across all of those different platforms, and not creating too much of a nuisance of ourselves. So that's trying to get the balance, get the message out and get it to work. And also that you have to try and figure out who's looking at the website. So somebody that's 50 will use a desktop when they're going in, but somebody that's younger, and people are more and more using the mobile. So the websites behave differently. So you have to take that into consideration. And people spend less time, or they're less tolerant on a mobile device. They say, this is not working, I'm gone. And they'll move off to something else.
Yeah.
So that was a huge learning curve for me. I'm responsible for the shareholders' money, not the marketing agency. So I have to be able to understand why. And if you understand why, then you can have some confidence.
Fantastic. Well, Arrow Tickets is still quite young as a venture. What's your vision for it, maybe say in the next 3 years?
In the next 3 years, I think the main route to market, so we figured out that our route to market is mainly through pubs, and we want to use sports clubs as a route into pubs. We think that there's a huge deficit in fundraising for hospice, so we think that we can have a huge impact in ongoing fundraising for hospices. And there's a shortfall, and the shortfall is probably even greater now for the new National Children's Hospital. So in those two things, we think that we can, once we get established between 3 and 5 years, that we could be contributing on a fundraising effort using this tool, 5 million to the hospice on an annual basis, and they get the money locally, so the tickets are purchased locally and they decide which hospice the money's going. We just facilitate that. And for the National Children's Hospital, Crumlin Hospital is one of the biggest national fundraisers. People like that charity, and we say, well, there's a deficit in the original budgets of 200 million to get that hospital open. That deficit has widened now, so we think that we can make a big contribution to that. So we have said, it's a very, very ambitious target. We said that we can contribute 15 million to that.
It's a very worthy ambition and a great vision. We wish you all the best with that.
If people are starting out in a business, they have an idea. They might have a particular skill. So if it's a carpenter, it's carpentry. Somebody will have a new service that they will design. But more and more business is getting complex, and it's about getting the right people around you. I think then you have a much better chance to be successful. I remember seeing a picture of Michael Dell when he started first. And the interesting thing about the picture to me wasn't Michael Dell, but it was the grey hairs of the people that he had around him.
Right.
So I think people starting out, sometimes they feel they have to know all the answers, and if they feel they need to know all the answers, that means they're not listening to the people around them. So I think that was probably detail. You have to do detailed plans so that you know what am I doing tomorrow, know what the vision is, and then knowing that you don't have the full skill set, and listen to the people around you that you've hired, or what your own shortcomings are. If you can identify those, then your chances of success are stronger.
Brilliant. So to some of our aspiring entrepreneurs who might be watching, some key pieces of advice there. So hire experts in the field, obviously, and then number 2. Yeah,
cover your own weaknesses. And cash is king.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.